Calculus first semester final. 1-day test.
So it's within 45 minutes?
You are brilliant.
That's good. He said it's going to be shorter testing. Yeah.
The test itself will be about 20% of your grade or the semester. I will adjust accordingly because Power's grade and doesn't allow me to do decent stuff with it, so I'm going to have to adjust things accordingly to make things work out correctly. I think there's 14, maybe 15 questions. Let me check to make sure. I can't remember if I added one.
You already have the test.
15 questions.
And if you're looking at
Is there one of those huge problems on it?
What do you mean by huge?
Like our last
plotting the
test that we
derivative
took?
and everything.
Well, there's probably 3 or 4 of those.
That's
You're
good.
lying to me.
I am lying to you. No. If you will be patient, I will tell you exactly what's going to be on it. Each question is worth 2 points.
What?
It's either really right or it's wrong. There's not a lot of partial credit. If there is, it's only 1, and that means that was 50 out of, or 50%, so that means you really got that wrong totally anyway.
That's really
What I will do is adjust this so it might be worth 150 points to make the whole thing 20% of your grade. It all depends upon how many points you've had with the roller coaster. In here, it changes things a little bit. And so I've got to go in and look. Because Power School, I don't trust it to say, hey, give it 20% and it just doesn't allow me to do it, and it usually depends upon the days. So, but I will keep it as 20% of your grade. Each problem is either pretty much right or wrong. Very little partial credit. So that's the bad news. The good news is this. If you look at your Chapter 2 test, how many questions on the test?
2 extra credit.
Okay, so there's about 14, 15 questions, right? What does it contain?
Limit, definition, your derivatives.
Okay. Limit, definition, derivative, and derivatives of everything else, right? Your calculus final will be exactly the same kind of test. All derivatives, no application problems, just like Chapter 2's test. Part 1 of calculus is all about derivatives, so my main goal is for you to be able to make and take an equation and differentiate it. So, you will have a limit definition. One of those, just like you did on your Chapter 2 test. Then there's 14 other questions that can be of any kind. You've got power rule. You've got product. You've got quotient. You've got
Trig.
chain. You've got trig.
Second derivative.
Good question. I'm not sure if there's a second. I think there is. But yes, you have second derivative. Or higher order. I'll put higher order. How's that sound? That sounds cool.
Implicit.
And implicit.
By higher order, does that mean that you have the third or fourth?
It's a possibility. Not very probable. But it's a possibility. Was there any other types that are on Chapter 2 that I did not just list?
Where, they,
That would probably be under the chain rule, correct? The Big problem with these is that I told you whether you needed implicit before, did I not?
Yes.
I will not tell you that on the final. You'll have to be able to decide implicit. Now, it's not that hard to determine it's implicit, is it?
It doesn't equal y.
If you don't have a y equals, or if you have more than one y floating around, that's when you got to do the implicit. That's what's on the test. Questions about what's going to be on the test. One day, that means you have to go into this knowing what you got. We've got a week to get ready for it. Your first task is probably to go look at your Chapter 2 test and try taking it again. And find out what you know and what you don't know. And come with questions tomorrow. I'll try and give you some practice problems as well. I'll talk about maybe some areas in the book, but it's probably not any different than your Chapter 2 spots. I'd go back and find your notes from Chapter 2 with all the different practice problems you had there and the areas to review and homework assignments. That's the place to start. Once again with derivatives. Practice, 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 practice. You should be able to look at it and boom, you got it. If it takes you more than 1 minute for this, you're probably not ready. If you look at a problem, you should be able to go, chain rule, quotient rule. Ooh, I got to do something twice. Remember, like if you had tangent squared of 3x, I think that's one of those on there. Or 2x times the sine of x. You can say, hey, that's product rule, quotient rule. You should be able to look at it right away and say, this is what I have to do. So I'm done for today. I would suggest you look at or even find your Chapter 2 test.
I changed notebooks now.